Hi, this is Attila16 and this is a video of Wargame European Escalation. And this is Hell's Highway map. So there's a lot of forest on the right side. There's a big road with a few forest in the center. And there's a wide open region on the left side. And this is actually a battle where we had some pretty experienced enemy and one less experienced, and we were also me that had experience and somebody with medium experience and somebody with no experience at all. So that was kind of interesting. And now let's see the different composition of our armies. And okay, let me just adjust the speed so it doesn't go crazy. There we go. Now let's see my army. Like that. Okay, there we go. So in the front I have some flak panzer, which are anti-air, mobile anti-air with guns. It has a short range, but it can be practical to spread them around. Then we have a command VAB. Some more flak artillery here. Here we have some MBT-70. Which are a good tank because they have a missile autocannon and a cannon. Here you have some Saracen, which are carrying special forces, SAS I believe. And here you have some VAB with Milan infantry in it. Then some more VAB with Chasseur in it. And here you have an FOB, we don't really care about that. Then we have some Bradley A1, which is a good recon vehicle, and they also have tow missile, 24 of them since they are two, which have a very good range and great accuracy. So that's why I use them. It's good for recon. While here you have one of my favorite small unit, and this is an AML-60. This is actually a really mobile mortar that the French army use, so it's very practical to do close artillery support. Now let's see what Silent Spy has. There we go. Now Silent Spy did not have much unit unlocked at that point, so he has rather basic units. And he did invest himself quite a bit in artillery. He has 4 M1 09, which are artillery, German artillery. And he has 2 more here, so he did focus quite a bit on artillery. Now he also brought some Marder 1A3, which contain Panzer Grenadier, which are good infantry for missiles, so they are really good for that. Here you have a few AMX 30B. Yeah, is that it? Yeah, these are French tank. It's the lightest version, I believe. So of that tank, of course. So that's his army. Let's see, war starter. Okay, here he has some UE gunship. These have rockets as well as a grenade launcher, so it's very good against light vehicle and that kind of stuff. Here he has some Jaguar, which are a German anti-tank vehicle, so it's really good because it has missile. Then he has some AMX 10P, which are troop transport, and he's carrying some kind of infantry in it. So this vehicle is actually really good because it has an autocannon, so it can fire on the enemy light vehicle and infantry as well as choppers. Now he also has some Sheridan, which are a fine tank because it's using missile. So that's kind of good. He also has some Chaparral and some Roland. The Chaparral have a really long range, so that's why they are good. And the Roland have a lot of missiles, so they have a shorter range, but they compensate that by having a capacity to really suppress the enemy. Also, Warstarter brought a couple of light recon vehicle that I'm sure it will spread around. And one, no, that's mine. Okay, so that's it for our army. Now let's put ourselves in neutral. And let's see what kind of opposition we're facing. So let's see. So here you have some Tunguska, T72. And here you have some T55, basic version. More Tunguska here. You have some Mi-24 and some Mi-24P, which are transporting stuff. Some more chopper over there. That's a pretty big army. More T72 here. T74 here, with a lot of T55 around. And what are these? T64B. The T64B has a missile. That's why it's pretty useful. Now the guy here, he has a lot of T55. Here you have some troop transport, which are transporting short-range infantry. Here you have some fast-moving troop transport as well. And here you have some Zato. And one thing which is interesting to observe about Zato here is that they actually have 3 bar of experience, unlike the other troops. So that means that they will serve a special purpose. Now here you have some Strobe 2, which are a really good anti-air unit, and it's also very mobile, so that's very effective anti-air because it's moving fast and it has a good accuracy. Here you have a big anti-air, which is much slower, much longer range, much more deadly if it actually hit. So that's important. So that's it for the enemy army. Now you can see that our adversary divided the roles, so Slayer went to Delta, Clear Din Dun. Anyway, he's going for Bravo, and Mr. Duke is going for Echo. Alright, so let's start this. Now on my part, well, on our team, what we did is the War Starter will go on the right side, and Sullen Spy in the center, and will support me, and while I'll go to the left side. So I was the one facing Mr. Duke for the most part. And our objective was to capture Eco quickly. So here I brought, okay, let's slow this down. I brought some Milan infantry, and we quickly spotted a huge column of infantry, as well as lots of T55 in the center. So I quickly unloaded my troops. I deployed my infantry on the side here, and we started to fire missile and artillery on the center. Now the Mr. Duke sent lots of infantry in the forest. I had brought a few FAMAS infantry there. While here you have my flak panzer, which are receiving enemy fire, and by doing so they are let's say distracting the enemy from shooting my real strong units. You have my Bradley and Sheridan, which are shooting those T55. You have some Milan infantry here, lots of artillery exploding all over the place. As you can see, it's quite cinematic. There's explosion all over the place, and tank blowing up and everything. I have some green jacket here, which are good at short range. And the enemy really just did a big rush here. And we did manage to stop them. We had quite a few troops in the center. And globally did not do that much damage. Now, as an answer to this big offensive, and I also was aware that, well, judging by the fact that there was an immense amount of vehicle, I brought a lot of AMX-30, which are the French tank. You can see right here. I brought them as reinforcements. Now here you can see the Zalo, which I told you about, that have experience moving on the flank, and this is actually a pretty smart move because all our attention is focused on the front, and he's flanking with units which are kind of weak, but since they have experience they have a good accuracy, and he's managing to actually destroy my MBT 70 with that. But what he probably did not expect would be my tank reinforcements on the left side, which engage his Zalo in the back. So as soon as he noticed that, you can see that he's starting to pulling back. But the thing is that he squeezed in between two a direction. So either way, my troops are shooting in the back. Now, the other interesting thing I will point out is his troop right there, which is a PT-90. It's a recon, which has the capacity to fire a missile. But what's interesting about it is that he actually gave it 4 of experience, which means that it nearly never missed. And while I had a couple of tanks going his way, my tank were unable to defeat him. Well, he was able to destroy my tank. And as you can see, he's really defensive about it because he's keeping it. So that's a detail which is rather important, because you see that he cares about that specific units. And also he had a lot of anti-air right there and T-72 here. But it's just that with the number of troops I had, I did manage to push him back. And on the side here you have a Star Slayer, which is shooting my tank with choppers. So you can see here that my tank are actually managing to push his troop back, destroying some T-72. While here we did not manage to capture the forest right there, but there's so much artillery falling on it that yeah, this is quite the scene. You can see that the whole battlefield in the center is burning. While there, I'm actually shooting the enemy anti-air. We're not using anti-air, but it's still a good target to destroy. On that side, there's a counterattack again with T-62, and T-62 probably have the capacity to destroy my AMX-30, especially with the help of that recon, which is totally unarmed so far. You can see that they are really destroying my tank now. I'm pulling back these tanks because I'm expecting to lose the forest fight here, so I'm repositioning them around there. Now if we check the right side, there's some T-64B which are moving around, but they were intercepted by the fact that Warstarter had a lot of missiles, so attacking with the T-64 wasn't particularly useful. At the same time, when you check his force in the forest, he has a lot of flamethrower, and Warstarter did not attack at all, so that meant that he was fairly safe. Now, there was a Sturm over there, which is pretty good. Warstarter brought some infantry in the wood. That was good. Now let's get back to the center to see what's going on. Now you can see that he's managing to hold that position there. And Silent Spy is now bombarding with his huge amount of artillery the zone. And although it doesn't destroy the enemy, it makes them panic, which is the good part about it. It really takes a lot of artillery to actually destroy a tank in this. So I brought my tank back, and I noticed that there was some flanking on that side. So I decided to call some anti-air. Right now you see supplies, which are not mine, but I'll bring an anti-air on that side. And now it's pretty much a game where neither side are able to advance. And thanks to the artillery, the enemy command vehicle is panicking, which means that for a while they won't be able to hold Echo. And if you check on that side, you can see an incoming infantry force. So we'll have to react to that, and I can see that because I deployed a mutt over there, which is a recon, which is unarmed. It's essentially a jeep. You can really see that the artillery is panicking the enemy command vehicle, which is preventing them from holding that position. So it reduced the supplies. You can see that I brought the chaparral I was talking about. And you can also see that he's trying to flank us with one chopper, probably transporting some special units. And now I'm pointing out the fact that they're bringing infantry, so that the artillery is fired on him. And now my chaparral is actually firing on the enemy chopper, which is shooting back. And I touch him. So I didn't manage to kill the chopper, and fortunately nobody survived. Silent Spy is bringing one tank, but that's not enough to stop them. But you remember those tanks that were damaged in the center? I brought them here, and that was a really fortunate move because I was able then to intercept in good part those troops, which could have likely destroyed that vehicle and would have likely be able to move to the artillery, which was undefended. So it could have been quite a problem. So while here he had no choice but to disembark and fight. And he did manage to kill my tank, but I stopped him, which was the important part. I also brought a few riflemen here that are getting close. And they are suppressing the enemy infantry, which are routing. While during that time, there's nothing much going on there. You can see on that side there's a few infantry trying to flank us. And now my riflemen are advancing and fighting against the troops which are there. You can see the firefight. And since I wasn't sure that I will necessarily win against those troops, they're not particularly good, but I told the Silent Spy to fire on my position, which was kinda risky because most of my riflemen died. Fortunately, Silent Spy added this tank right here, and I told him to make sure to kill the remaining enemy infantry, which was very good because even though there were few, there was nothing else to defend this place. So that was a very good move. It was a small move, but good move nonetheless. You can see a recon chopper flying by, and the death of the infantry. Now let's see what's going on over there. So this guy decided to make a very long move around, while Silent Spy is still bombarding that position right there, which is a kind of a waste because tanks are really resistant to artillery. Artillery is mostly good against infantry. At the same time, while I'm saying this, of course, he's destroying a few T-62. But they are well concealed, so the thing is that the amount of resources it takes you to actually destroy a tank is not necessarily worth it with artillery. It's better to use something else. So the enemy are now investing in missile launcher. Not sure which type. I'll check that. And where is it? Smirch. Okay, he's using a Smirch. Let's see what it looked like. This is an MLRS, which is a multiple rocket launcher. He did fire at the long range and did not really do much damage. Now you can see on the other end that they are sending now a T-55, and I had very little point to face that, but so that's why Silent Spy had to take care of it, and Warstarter brought the Cobra as well, because I really was out of resource. And at that point, Mr. Duke decided to leave the game, even though there was only 5 minutes remaining. So let's see, let's keep going. Now you have a small attack right there of infantry, which could have been dangerous for us, but fortunately I told Silent Spy to move his infantry into defending that area, because he has Panzer Grenadier and Martyr. So without really knowing, these troops literally went into a big ambush. Well, on that side the T-55 were quickly disposed of. And I also had a few riflemen here. So you can see that Silent Spy is now advancing with his Martyr. They are decent damage, but Martyr have an autocannon, so that make them very good against light vehicle and infantry. So he's moving toward the enemy and killing them very quickly. They literally don't stand a chance against that many vehicles. There we go. The enemy has been eliminated there. Now they're making a push in the center again. So and I'm really out of vehicle at that point in the center. So it's mostly Silent Spy troops which are holding the line. So they are going in a line formation, or column nearly, attacking us. And I think their objective at that point was to come and destroy Silent Spy artillery, which is right there, and fired on them during nearly all the battle. So I really did not have much to oppose them. I had a few Milan there, but they were out of ammo. And so the defense of the line was largely relying on Silent Spy Panzer Grenadier, which were a good match for a tank attack. And also we had a few tank right there, but that's way too few to actually be able to sustain an attack of probably, well, at least 8 T-64B. And also AMX-30 are not the best tank you can have as NATO. I had a few Green Jacket there, but the Green Jacket are not, they were too few to make much of a difference. And here I also had a couple of chaparral, which were largely useless at that point, because the enemy did not really have much chopper power, although there was some havoc flying there. Now you can see that the Panzer Grenadier are engaging actually. So they are shooting some missile from afar. And that's really why the Panzer Grenadier are nice infantry. It's because, first of all, they have missile, which is really nice, and you can see that it does blow up a few tanks on the way. But at the same time, they have the Martyr, which is a really nice troop transport. It's very effective. So Panzer Grenadier are shooting in the center. The artillery is now firing on a useless position, so telling Silent Spy to correct. And the enemy is now still pushing forward, even though they are under a significant amount of fire. Actually, if you check here, there was that huge flanking maneuver there, and turned out that he ran out of fuel. So that's a pretty funny part of the battle. These are resources that are now useless. That's why when you plan when you make a plan to actually make a great flanking, you should bring some supplies with you. Now what's weird is the pace at which this guy advanced. He went really slowly. And actually these are T-64B, and T-64B have missiles, so that means that they need to remain static to be used to their maximum. So making an attack with T-64B is not particularly good. It might be a good type of unit to move into a position quickly and take defensive position there. But making an attack with T-64B doesn't seem to be the best idea in the world. So now I did notice that the enemy were going for our artillery. So I told the Spy to remove it, which he did quickly. As you can see there. And while here we had a few flak panzer, which were doing nothing now because I had lost my Bradley. And here Silent Spy is moving his Martyr to react to the advance. So he's doing the right thing. Although well, his Martyr still had missile, so that means that he could have fire missile at the enemy by holding the position. But since I needed speed in reinforcements, I brought those Lynx, which are really fast mobile light vehicle. They have a big cannon, but they're not super good, but they were doing the job for now. So you can see that I'm distracting quite a bit their vehicle. I'm also bombarding them with my small mortar that I told you about earlier. Silent Spy is moving his Martyr back to intercept, while I'm also bringing more Lynx vehicle here. As you can see, it's a very small vehicle. That's why it's kind of funny as a vehicle. And those T-64 are really strong. Can receive a lot of punishment, as you can see. Took forever to get rid of them, but we finally managed to defeat that attack. And now if you see on the right side, there was very little action, while on the left side they were trying to make some kind of flanking maneuver. But at this point there was only 5 seconds remaining, so that wasn't particularly useful at this point. So that was a victory for us, a minor one, but victory nonetheless. And that was an interesting battle, as you can see, and very diversified. And this time we really did coordinate very well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want more, tell me, and I'll see you on my next videos.